Hey guys, welcome to Article 1, How are House Representatives Determined per State? By the end of this lesson, you will be able to explain how the census, reapportionment, redistricting, gerrymandering, and the House of Representatives relate to each other. And all of these terms relate to the question above. Now, there are 435 House members in the House of Representatives, and the question that we're posing today is how do we know how many of those 435 House Representatives Illinois will get? Now, the first step is we need to find out the population of the United States, and this occurs through the census, which takes place every 10 years. Literally, the government counts everyone in the United States, which is not easy. The government has workers called Census Bureau workers that go door to door in every county, in every state, and they ask how many individuals live in your household, and then they collect all that data and give one population approximation. We need to find out how many people each House representative represents. So after the total population has been determined, we need to divide the entire population by 435. Why? Because we need to see how many citizens will be represented by one House representative. The last census, taken in 2010, determined that the United States population is currently approximately 308 million individuals. And so in order to determine how many citizens are represented by one rep, we take 308 million divided by 435, and that gave us the number 710,000, meaning that each House representative is responsible for approximately 710,000 citizens in their state. Now, in order to find out how many representatives each state will get, we take the amount of individuals represented by one rep, and we divide that by the state's population. This is called apportionment. How many districts the state will get. Now, as learned in the last flipped lesson, the amount of districts each state gets is the same amount as House representatives, since each House rep is responsible for one district. Now, after apportionment has been determined, three things can happen. A state can either get more House representatives, they can get less House representatives, or the amount of House representatives will remain the same. A state would get more if there were massive migrations to the state. They would get less if people left the state, moved out of the state, or lots of people died within the state. Or they would receive the same if the population didn't change at all in the last 10 years. This process of getting more, getting less, or receiving the same is called reapportionment. Now, the Reapportionment Act of 1929 set the House of Representatives at 435. This act determines that our House of Representatives will not change with population growth, but will stay at 435. Now, like I said earlier, the census is done every 10 years. 7 states currently fall short of the 710,000 population. However, due to the Constitution, they are still guaranteed at least one House representative. Now, in order to determine how many House representatives Illinois would get, we have to look at Illinois' population, which in 2010 was 12,869,257. Now, what would be the next step in order to determine how many districts our state of Illinois would get? If you said we would need to divide the total population by 710,000, you would be correct. If you take the total population by the amount of citizens represented by one House rep, you would see that Illinois currently has 18 House representatives. As demonstrated through the map, we lost a seat in Congress in the House of Representatives in the last census. You can see that that may have been caused by the population boom in Texas. Previous to 2010, we had 19 House representatives after 2010, we lost one House rep, and now we have 18 House representatives in the state of Illinois. Now, in order to maintain the 710,000 residents, state legislatures will draw new districts within a state so that each district has approximately the same amount of residents, 710,000. Now, the redistricting process is hugely political, and the party in power at the state level has a huge advantage because they can use their power to carve out districts that favor their party. Now, you might ask, how would they carve out districts that favor their party? Well, they look at past voting patterns and see who voted Democratic and who voted Republican, and then they will redraw the districts to make sure that their political party is more represented and will favor one party over the other. This process is called gerrymandering. There are two methods of gerrymandering. The first is the party in power will concentrate opposition voters in one or a few districts so that the opposition voters don't have as much influence as they would if they were spread out amongst many districts. This method is called packing, where you pack all the opposition voters into a few districts. The second method is called cracking. This is where you spread the opposition among many districts, weakening their influence. This way there's no majority to win the district, and the majority party will be more represented. Packing and cracking are the two methods of gerrymandering. Now, the term gerrymandering got its name from this political cartoon. In the state of Massachusetts, the governor was named Elbridge Gerry. He was the first to use his political power to gerrymander districts in his state of Massachusetts. They used this political cartoon, which they thought looked like a salamander, and his name, Gerry, put them together, and the name stuck. Gerrymandering is carving out districts to favor one political party over another. Now, this is our state of Illinois, and as you can see, this was before the 2010 census. As you can see, there are still 19 districts in our state. However, if you look closer at some of these districts, you would ask, how were these created? Why is there a little thin patch here? What were legislators thinking? Well, these most likely were gerrymandered. Legislatures probably saw that there were voters within this area that they either wanted to include or disinclude. And so they chose to draw this district in this form, or in this form. Right, as you can see, this district makes no sense whatsoever. This part of the district is literally the width of 294. No citizens/residents live there. However, they probably were looking to either pack or crack to include or disinclude certain residents, and in order to carve out a district in your favor, it's not always going to be clean cut, and it won't always make sense. So whenever you see a district like this, just be well aware that it most likely is a gerrymandered district. So to return to our original question, can you explain how the census, reapportionment, redistricting, gerrymandering, and the House of Representatives are all related to each other? That will be the question we will start with in class tomorrow. Have a great evening.